The movie begins with a guy named Squirt strolls down the street towards a building. He carries a joint made of titanium that triggers an alarm. After a check, the guard apologizes. They scan him, and 3 lockers open. He retrieves his belongings and assembles his bionic arms from the different-sized boxes. Suddenly, he attacks the man with him, but he swiftly opens a separate vault with his bionic arms and secures a precious diamond. The alarm blares, and the guards rush to chase him. He becomes violent, using a woman as a distraction, and smashes the tiles to escape. However, he's shot and fears it may be the end of his life. His brother, Ator, rushes to his side, promising not to leave him, but Squirt takes his own life. Fast forward to 2025, the world has changed. A woman named Maria tells her story that there are 3 types of people: those who fight for themselves, for others, and until the end. Maria, born to be a champion like her mother, believes she's prepared to follow in her footsteps. She dedicates herself to training, coached by her mother, aiming for championship status. Her sister Gabby, with a bionic prosthesis on her right leg, set a new world record. Maria, filled with bitterness, congratulates Gabby but feels overshadowed by her sister's achievement. Maria expresses that it's supposed to be her destiny. She believes fate gave her a second chance. Then Squirt, an ex-pro boxer, is well known, but his career evaporated when bionics came along. However, 2 detectives named Hannah and reveals that Squirt amputated his own arm in a fake accident to qualify for a bionic prosthesis, but the authorization was cancelled. The detectives discuss the improbability of quickly attaching a bionic limb, but Hannah tells her detective Gara that months ago, the body of a bionic para-athlete who died from an overdose was stolen from a morgue in Buenos Aires. They found the body days later with a hole in the cranium and no neural interface module, NAM, assuming the NAM was inside Squirt's head. These detectives decide to photograph Squirt's tattoo, as it could be essential in their investigation into the stolen body from the Buenos Aires morgue to uncover more information about the group behind it. Meanwhile, Squirt's brother converses with a man who claims to have trained his brother. They try to console him for his loss, but he tells the group not to say anything as it not necessary. A guy points out another unfamiliar guy to his friend. The new guy expresses his desire to join them, claiming expertise in technology. Ator questions him about his name and he introduces himself as Uncle Hard, asserting confidently that they need him. This angers Ator, who just lost his sibling. Uncle Hard insists he doesn't want to be a bystander anymore and wants to make a difference. Hearing this, Ator interrupts 2 men practicing in the ring, emphasizing Uncle Hard's desire to make a difference, stating it's their reason for moving forward. Ator instructs Uncle Hard to do what he believes is necessary. In a second, Uncle Hard uses his technology to identify the diamonds Squirt has. He clarifies that the first one is S1 and the other one is SV2. Confused, Ator asks his friend what S1 and SV2 mean. His friend explains they signify the quality of the diamond and, due to their purity, could fetch up to $500,000 at most. Another guy questions if that's not enough, but the friend responds that it isn't because the hackers want millions and won't negotiate. They plan a violent act to obtain the purest and most expensive diamonds. The Ator suggests they need a bionic, and his friends wonder how they can get one. He suggests they build one like they did for Squirt but with different qualifications. Uncle Hard claims to know someone who might qualify for their plans. Meanwhile, Maria is out on the field, and Uncle Hard and the brother are there watching her. When Maria notices them, she playfully greets them with. As they watch Maria, she begins to share a story from her past. She talks about her competitive days with Gabby and delves into the dynamics of the Santos family. Growing up, their brother Gus was right in the middle of it all. She reminisces about their father training Gabby while their mother nurtured her promising career. However, their mother's premature death shook the family, and despite the changes it brought, Maria's relationship with Gus remained strong and intimate. Gus, who is also Uncle Hard, moves closer to Maria, and she greets him with a kiss and a familiar greeting. Gus introduces Ator to Maria, mentioning that he's a big fan. Maria jokingly assumes he wants a selfie, but Ator dismisses the idea, stating that selfies are outdated. They share a laugh, realizing Maria's sister has some old-school quirks. Their conversation takes a turn when Ator questions Maria's choice of training location. Maria explains that it holds symbolic meaning for her, reminding her of the struggles faced by regular athletes. Gus then reveals an exciting opportunity for Maria that could benefit athletes. Maria is intrigued and ends the conversation, promising to meet Ator again soon. They agree, with Ator cheekily asking for a selfie. Meanwhile, inside a company, a guy expresses excitement about bionic prosthetics, recognizing their potential advantages in sports. He discusses how bionic athletes, equipped with more advanced prosthetics, have dominated sports and become sensations in less than 4 years. He's confident that the NIMs will unlock even greater power in their hardware, potentially boosting speed and strength by at least 30%. Dario and Wanda discuss the implications, with Wanda impressed but hesitant. Ricardo tries to persuade them with Gabi's marketing success but faces resistance from Wanda's group. After much negotiation, Wanda reluctantly agrees but demands a record-breaking performance in return, showing she's not willing to settle for anything less than extraordinary. Maria sees Ator and his brother giving more food to some athletes, showing their support. Ator starts a conversation with Maria, saying that Gus seems to worship her. Maria replies that instead of doing that, he should worship his famous sister, Gabi. Ator then tells her he has a similar story with his brother, Squirt. This intrigues Maria, and she asks him to tell her more. Ator begins by saying that Squirt was at the top of his career before bionics came along. He believes these prosthetics played a role in ending Squirt's career. Maria agrees and wishes she could get closer to the top athletes. Ator then says that self-mutilation is the new trend. Maria reacts strongly, saying that cutting off a leg or arm just to get a prosthetic is insane and illegal. But Ator argues that if she had bionics, she would be the best in the world. Maria starts to think about it. Later, Maria drives her motorcycle and thinks about how Gabi seems to be everywhere and is worshipped by their generation. Maria and Gus then arrive at a party celebrating Gabi's new sponsorship. Everyone is cheering for Gabi. When Gabi sees her siblings, she welcomes them. But soon, Maria and Gabi argue. Gabi says Maria isn't proud of her and wishes she would always come in second place. Maria insists she has always been proud of Gabi. Gabi responds that their mother always prioritized Maria's championships, and if it weren't for their dad, she wouldn't have succeeded. Gabi declares it's her time to shine, and Maria has to deal with it. Maria drinks more alcohol, her emotions out of control, and gets very drunk. Everyone watches as she starts to speak. She admits that Gabi is right, the world is changing. She says the people at the party, who support bionics, are the new heroes. But she also says their support hurts normal athletes, reducing their opportunities. Maria points out that normal athletes can't compete with the enhanced abilities of prosthetics, making it unfair. Maria leaves the party, telling Gabi that she is right about the world changing and that she will adapt. Gabi, determined to keep the party going, encourages everyone to continue celebrating. As Maria speeds away on her motorcycle, she remembers an old Italian opera song her mother used to play. This song calms her and brings her back to her roots. It was with her during many important moments, including the night her life changed forever. Driving fast, lost in thought, Maria doesn't see the car that suddenly swerves into her lane. The crash is immediate and serious, causing a major accident. Maria is so surprised to find herself lying on a hospital bed. When she regains consciousness, she sees Ator waiting outside. Gabi is also there, asking Maria what happened after she left the party. Maria doesn't feel her legs, and when she realizes they are missing, she cries in distress. Gabi tries to comfort her. Meanwhile, the detectives investigate a news story about non-bionic athletes using a skull symbol in their protests for equal rights. They notice this symbol is the same as Squirt's tattoo. They find out Ator, also known as Baby, has a similar tattoo and was the leader of this movement and Squirt's manager. According to their records, Squirt was just another troublemaker and protester. However, they suspect they are missing something and decide to step up their investigation on Ator and his group, especially regarding rumors about amputations to gain bionic limbs. Later, Maria receives a message from Ator asking if she received his gift. Maria doesn't know about any gift. When she gets home, Gabi, in a surprisingly good mood, offers to help Maria. Gabi encourages her to learn to move normally again. Maria thinks it's a good idea, but Gabi reveals she has ulterior motives. Gabi then hands Maria a gift. When Maria opens it, she finds a Barbie doll that looks just like her, complete with prosthetic legs. Meanwhile, Maria undergoes a procedure to implant a NIM into her motor cortex and attach bionic prosthetics. The operation is successful, and Maria begins intensive training to adapt to her new limbs. The training is hard, but the NIM integrates well with her system. With excitement, Maria starts practicing with her new bionic legs, training in her usual sports. Gabi is with her, and Maria is happy with her progress. She rejoices as the training becomes easier and more natural. Meanwhile, the detectives handling the case keeps an eye on Ator, who continues supporting normal athletes. Gus and his newfound friends are strategizing how to create accidents for athletes so they can legally receive bionic prosthetics, despite the illegal nature of their actions. Surprisingly, Ator's team, including Gus, knows about these plans, but even Maria's is unaware. Maria's father supports her during her first jump, playing her favorite Italian classical music. Maria runs with excitement, but as her energy display nears zero, Dario hits a button to stop her. He He explains that if her display reaches 0, she will fall into a coma. He tells her that anxiety affects her neurotransmitters, which could harm her brain, and she needs to control her emotions. Maria asks how she can return to normal. Dario reveals that her brain needs at least 12 hours of good rest to recharge. Later, Ator shows up, and they share an intimate moment in a secluded place. Ator caresses Maria's new bionic prosthetics, and they enjoy a wonderful night together. Ator finally reveals their plans. He explains that everything they are doing is for the athletes, for his brother, and for her. Then Maria asks for one favor to please let her brother out of this scheme. The following day, Ator resorts to violence to get money. He and his team orchestrate a plan, blocking streets until they trap a van carrying cash. Maria, hiding her identity, uses her bionic prosthetics to destroy the car. She smashes it slowly until it's wrecked and plants a bomb inside to kill the occupants. The people inside manage to escape, but Ator fights them, and Maria helps him. Ator tells Maria that to get rich, they need to take these extreme actions. Ator tells Maria that to get rich, they need to take these extreme actions. Maria is against this type of scheme, but Ator argues that every victory requires sacrifice. He claims he ended the life of those people to protect her because one of them had seen her face. Reluctantly, Maria accepts this reasoning, and they successfully steal the money. Later, when the team gathers, Maria is shocked to see her brother involved, despite their agreement to keep him out. Her brother explains that his involvement was not Ator's doing but his own initiation. Ator reveals that Maria's brother is the mastermind behind their plans. Maria feels trapped in a wrong group and asks what they plan to do with the money. They explain they discovered that Solid Limbs will receive a shipment of 10 NIMs. They plan to use the stolen money to pay hackers to find the shipment details of the NIMs. Sarcastically, Maria congratulates Ator on his plan but insists her brother should leave the movement. Her brother defends his involvement, saying it's part of the revolution and his chance to achieve something. Meanwhile, investigators arrive at the scene. The van's driver, who survived, tells them he felt the car was kicked by something powerful, like a bionic prosthesis, causing them to lose control. The investigators start to suspect Maria. Given her close relationship with Ator, who is deeply involved with Solid Limbs, they begin connecting the dots, including the date of Maria's accident. While swimming, Gabby notices Maria's damaged prosthesis and starts questioning her. Their father and Gus interrupt, and their father announces that the family will have 2 bionic athletes in this year's games, as Maria has qualified with the same sponsor as Gabby. This news infuriates Gabby. A social media announcement reveals that Solid Limbs is proud to have Maria join the bionic games. Gabby and Maria argue, but their father urges them to calm down. Meanwhile, the detective Guerra, disguised as a friendly stranger, chats with Gus and notices the same tattoo that Squirt and Ator have. During training, the sisters argue intensely. Their family intervenes, but Maria accidentally kicks Detective Guerra, who reveals he's with the police and wants to interview her about her accident. Maria refuses, claiming she didn't see who did it. However, the detectives show her a video and explain that the van involved disappeared after the incident. The car was registered to a deceased person, and they believe the ambushers masked their identities. They also present a recording of a call reporting the incident, made before the collision. Their father becomes angry, feeling they are accusing Maria. Gabby argues that the detectives are just doing their job. The detective asks about Ator's relationship with Maria, suspecting Ator might be using her for his own purposes. Maria is caught in a web of suspicion, unsure whom to trust and how to navigate the dangerous situation she finds herself in. However, Gabby questions Gus and their dad, feeling they are overly protective of Maria. She even presses Gus on how he got connected to Ator, but Gus becomes angry and fails to give a satisfactory answer, fueling Gabby's suspicions. At home, Gabby pretends to feel unwell so she can investigate what happened without interruptions. Left alone in the house, she seizes the opportunity to play the recording multiple times, trying to confirm that it is Ator's voice calling emergency services. As she recognizes the voice, Gabby becomes increasingly angry. During the competition, Gabby is on fire, running and jumping with the crowd, anticipating her breaking her own record. She succeeds, achieving a new milestone, when Maria is introduced as Gabby's sister. It's her turn to compete in her debut bionic competition. She runs, jumps, and sets a new record of 17.67 meters, surpassing Gabby's 16.78 meters. This significant achievement shocks everyone. The American competitor faces problems with his NIMs, which disqualifies him, leaving the final round as a family affair. Gabby prepares for her second jump and manages to beat 18.03 meters. Maria then surpasses this with 18.25 meters. During the event, hackers send Ator's team the information they needed. Gabby's NAM levels drop as she gets anxious, but she insists on continuing despite the danger. Maria tries to stop her, negotiates anything. Then Gabby tells her the only way to stop her if Maria will scratch intentionally her last attempt so she could win the competition. But Maria remains silent and confused, which gives signal for Gabby to continue her turn. Gabby falls during her jump, severely injuring herself. Maria is torn between celebrating her victory and being terrified for her sister. Gabby is sedated with severe damage to her NAM and motor cortex. Their father is frustrated, saying this isn't how he imagined it. Maria retorts, asking if he wanted to pit them both against each other. Their father argues he was doing what he thought was best for them. Gabby regains consciousness and reveals to Maria that her accident was intentional. She plays the recording, proving Ator's involvement. Maria insists they focus on the present, but Gabby says this is just the beginning. Ator delivers news that the hackers have succeeded, signaling the start of their plan to change the world. Maria rejects him, leading Ator to harm her. Maria warns him to let go, threatening to hurt him, which she could do. A disappointed associate calls Ricardo, complaining that Maria didn't show up for 2 press conferences despite promises of 2 bionic athletes. One of Ator's team members, with Gus's help, attempts to kill Gabby by drugging Maria to prevent her from intervening. Gus is furious about the harm to their family and offers Maria a kiss, while Ator insists they must follow through and that Gabby will not be hurt. The next day, Maria teams up with Ator again, feeling forced to comply. She is coached step by step on how to target getting the NIMs. Despite the risk, she follows through to save her sister. Maria jumps and fights the men guarding the NIMs, successfully retrieving them. However, detectives identify Maria from security footage. While driving, Maria recalls how Ator tried to kill her and ambushes him. She discovers it was Gus who manipulated her. Under Ator's orders, their family is being controlled by Ator's team. Maria tries to escape but fails. Later, she is brought to Ator's place, where she reunites with Gabby. Ator reveals his plan to sell the NIMs, having orchestrated everything, even at the cost of his brother's life. Maria destroys the NIMs, smashing the table and fighting Ator and his men. Gabby joins the fight, and together they fend off their attackers. The buyers hesitate and flee, while the sisters, now united, are happy despite the chaos. Ator stabs Maria, but Gabby helps her escape as the detectives arrive. Unaware of the full extent of the situation, Maria, heavily injured, tries to flee. She gets trapped in wires, and Detective Guerra offers help. As Maria attempts to jump, she disconnects her bionic prosthetics, causing severe injury. Gabby, with one limb, drives onto the scene and rescues Maria, showing their bond and determination to survive together. 6 months later, the sisters are still missing. Detective Guerra declares the operation a success, with the stolen NIMs recovered and Ator's criminal gang dismantled. At the end of the film, the sisters find their fate. They are now involved in a project helping athletes, but with ulterior motives. They have partnered with the same gang interested in buying the NIMs, Ator's former contacts. They present a proposal to the gang leader, who desires an army of bionics. The sisters explain they only need 3, themselves and their brother, who was accidentally ambushed by Maria due to Ator's manipulation. Gus now possesses multiple bionics. The leader is impressed, seeing potential in their plan. Though their situation is far from ideal, the siblings are now united, working together to face their uncertain future.